check out this guy. The podcast where we say sometimes you should do super self-indulgent thing, and if someone calls it bad, you simply say nah. I'm Elvire, and my pronouns are they, he, she.
I'm Morg. My pronouns are they, he, and I can't wait to talk about the themes that show up in my writing all the time, and aka talk about being trans for 6 hours.
Hi, I'm Spike, and my pronouns are whatever these mofos decide to call me, and hey, people kept on saying my character meant I was trans, without even asking me.
That is rude. That is something that I'm gonna say is, like, I know that was, like, something that we accidentally did to you, but that is something where it's like, hey, some people aren't ready to come out, and that's totally okay. But sometimes themes in your writing you do look back on, and you're like, wow, I understand why I'm at this point now. And it's not just being trans, obviously, but, like, you know, that's a big one that shows up in, like, a lot of our works, just because,
Yeah.
you
I
know.
mean, so like similarly, I was watching Star Trek earlier today, and I was commenting about, it's like, oh, never before have I watched Star Trek the original series and actually noticed the extremely gay subtext.
Yeah, right. So some of this is going to be retrospective. Some of this is going to be like, oh, we're still doing this because it's fun and I want to play a character that acts silly and does fun stuff. So yeah, I think we're gonna, like, generally call this, like, themes and, like, themes that show up in our work and, like, personal call outs or to ourselves, you know, like, or something along those lines. You know, the title might be different. And,
the title will be whatever is funniest.
Whatever we say that is the most batshit insane.
So true. But yeah, so does anyone have, like, a burning passion to go and, like, call out something in their shit first? I kind of...
Crickets. Look, I have an easy one. I freaking love mixing magic and, like, high-tech sci-fi shit.
Oh, you're so correct for doing that.
That's the easy one. The other thing is, hey, Morg, you've played in multiple games now, and you know multiple of my OCs. I sure like to make lonely characters, don't I?
You like to make characters that, yeah, that's a good way of putting it. Lonely, or, like, have a lot of solitariness to them. Whether they enjoy it or not, it depends on the character.
Yeah, the Spindle episode we did sure had a very lonely guy who was very high tech in a magical world, huh?
Yeah.
Huh.
Oh, damn.
Yeah, like I said, like I can't help but get on my bullshit.
And do you have an idea why you like the magic and the high tech stuff together?
It's just fun.
Just cool.
For me, it's usually, like, character traits of myself or, like, movies that I saw that were, like, that became core memories that I keep bringing with me in my OCs.
Oh, I'm sure it's because that particular thing is probably because I grew up on Star Wars.
Oh, that'll do it, do you?
That'll definitely do it. Like
you can talk.
Me?
Wait, these are self-call-outs, not calling out each other.
Well, I kind of did,
Sorry.
like, call you out a little bit. I was just like, you do like solitary characters. I was agreeing with you.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, No, it's totally fine. This could also be, like, if you have something to call out. I want to know, like, what you think my shit is, because you know I've only seen, like, 2 Star Warses. We
Yes.
fucking talked about this earlier.
I
so
know,
where did
that's why I said it.
Where did my science and fantasy mixture come from? Who knows?
But you like that author, Ursula Le Guin?
Yeah, I do like Ursula K. Le Guin.
Yeah.
So that's, part of it. I need to read more of her stuff, though. But,
I've only read one thing of hers, and I didn't care for the writing style and kind of bounced off.
Oh, that happens sometimes.
But that was over 20 years ago.
That's what happened when I was younger. I read Earthsea when I was a kid, and I did not like it. I read Earthsea again, maybe 2-3 years ago, and I loved it, actually. But, yeah, I mean, I think a lot of media, even if I haven't, I guess in my own stuff, fantasy sci-fi stuff comes up a lot because I'm in those kind of spaces. Even if I am not Star Warsing myself, I'm still in that media sphere of people who like it, even when I, and a lot of, I went through phases where some of that stuff was mixed together a lot. You see, really advanced tech and the difference between technology and magic for how advanced it is and stuff is a whole thing. But a whole sufficiently advanced magic. But
any sufficiently studied magic is indistinguishable from science.
Yeah, yeah. But I also went through a phase where I was into stuff that was a little bit like steampunky, I guess. Ooh. But I didn't really read any of those books. It was just stuff that I was involved with online that was people were into that stuff. And I'm kind of really lukewarm on it now, but I feel there is a lot of old science mixed with weird magic shit in that stuff because they just there's this interaction that goes on with a weird flying pirate ship.
I like the visual of steampunk, but I don't think I've really interacted with it a lot.
You know what did it for me? It was Treasure Planet, the Disney movie. It was Treasure Planet.
A core memory for a lot of people, yeah.
Yeah.
I have something related to this, but I think Elvire should bring up a topic first.
I should bring up a topic first. A thing that I realized only when I stopped doing it is that I made a lot of angry characters. Especially for people who haven't known me that long as a teenager, I had a lot of pent up rage because, I was closeted and I didn't even realize it myself. And I had a lot of rage that I had nowhere to go with. And then you start bottling that up and I had to relearn that I'm allowed to be angry because for a large part, I was super aggressive towards people. I'm not very strong, but it's never a good thing to actually hit people, which is what I did do. So I went through a phase where I was super non-aggressive and literally never showed any kind of negative emotion. And I made a lot of OCs that expressed that emotion in my stead. And looking back at the ones from that time, I wouldn't change it about them. And I still do it sometimes. Whenever I make a D&D character, I notice that I like to be ooh, strength. I want to max that out. Because I want them to be very strong and I want them to be able to hit stuff without consequences. And I think this is one of the healthiest coping mechanisms I've ever had. Because they did teach me to be normal angry again.
Yeah, I do have a number of characters who are, I'm going to say, fairly violent. Dorothy is not one of them, Morg.
I know. I wasn't going to say it. Look, who thinks that is maybe Snake.
But, yeah, it's I'm very pacifistic. in real life, so it is a fun escape that way.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I had a long string of characters that were like kind of like impulsive, especially my earliest like tabletop characters were very like chaotic aligned, very like, oh, I want to touch the thing that I'm told not to. And that's like, that's like normal to play as like a character like that. But I like sometimes went to points of like extremes because I felt like I wasn't maybe so able to express that normally, because I felt like it was weird to just want to like be all zany, and it was a lot of like channeling my undiagnosed attention disorder into a character to be kind of like more hyperactive and like chatty than like I was in my day-to-day. I also like there was a lot of my experiences with like D&D, that's why I said like chaotic, but a lot of charisma casters, so a lot of like, even if they were kind of like, they were like face of the party, but they weren't necessarily like a kind face of the party. They were like, the bards, the thieves, the
I am taking part of what you just said and filing it away for later self-examination.
Sure. I mean, there's something about that, and like I have like gone outside of those characters. I'm not actually playing like any like hyperactive characters at the moment, but that's because they're all NPCs in my Eidolon game. I have a couple. Yeah.
Speaking of the games that we play together, I sure like making up characters that are kind of unfathomable. And I especially like subjecting Morg to them.
You look at Morg and you say, yeah, we want to confuse that. That's gonna be incomprehensible.
Yes, but it's also because I also sometimes do stuff like that.
Yeah, would you be willing to kind of describe how Troy and Tim came across to you?
Well, when I was trying to understand Troy, aka Destroyer, Troy is, they're both like kind of other dimensional beings that look just like regular dudes if you just look at them for a second.
Yeah.
Except taller.
Yeah.
They kind of have like an energy to them of being like, I think it was because I was also listening to Doctor Huh, but I was like, is this kind of a doctor situation? And you were like, kind of. And I was like, okay. They're like kind of a super advanced being. They're like alien, and it could be alien in the sense of like another world, but it could also just be like alien to everyone who isn't them. They kind of are like really powerful and have like really, really specific things that they want to accomplish. Like Troy is really focused on collecting data, information of any kind, sometimes at the detriment of other people.
There's infinite people.
Yeah.
What's it matter?
Yeah, he's a little, it's got that, like, blue and orange morality sort of vibe going on there, where it's like, you can't, he's not malicious, but he's also not trying to be helpful a lot of times. And it was unusual that he helped my character.
Yeah. So for Elvira and the audience, these are from a race of people that exist in a dimensionality that's more than 3 dimensions.
Okay.
Like they are literally higher dimensional beings. So like all you see of them is basically the shadow they cast upon what we would consider the real world.
Yeah, like an avatar.
Which is also kind of why they are kind of like tall, stretched out versions of short races.
I did not even clock that immediately. I'm gonna be honest with you.
I worked backwards on that one.
Yeah, you just were like, Troy is a tall kobold. Oh, kobolds are short normally. What if I do tall halfling?
Oh no, I'm not the one. Like, I actually worked backwards from the tall halfling that I think Dan established.
Oh, you're so right. This is kind of a jumping off point from like just like kind of a background event of like a funny drawing, more or less. And you're like, what if they were real? And what if I confused Morg's character with them and made them realize that they were maybe also another dimensional being?
That is amazing. That's how it should be.
Yes.
All my OCs are super fluid. I've got one OC who's gone through like so many changes. There's no 2 pieces of art that look the same.
Hell yeah. Is there any that you've talked about on the podcast that are like that?
Yeah, Lens has changed a lot. I talked about how the first time I came up with him, he was like the extra male character that I thought all media should have.
You thought what?
All media should have like a boy and a girl, right? That's how it works.
Oh yeah. I do remember.
Yeah.
Yes.
I didn't know they had specific roles. I didn't get that far, but he started out as super basic, just looking like me, like most of my OCs. And then I gave him a lot of eyes. And then at a certain point, I made him purple. And then I did the thing that I do with all my OCs at some point, is when I finally find some reference, because I can only draw from reference. And a lot of the references that you can find online are from thin people. And I don't want to unbox all the reasons why that is. But also, like, full disclosure, I am also a very thin person. So when I draw something based on pictures of myself, they're also going to be thin. And I actually have some issues with that sometimes. So lenses, every single time I draw, I'm just getting a bit bigger. Just a little bit bigger. He's doing so great. I can't wait to draw, like, a genuinely fat drawing of Lens. I think that's going to make me so happy. And I found a super good reference website and I have the login for it now. So that's something that is also a thing that I often do. I start super thin. I end up hating the fact that the character is super thin because I have issues with that myself. And then I draw them a bit bigger.
Is this what we call character growth?
It's what we call character growth. Yeah. Literally. Also, like, it makes sense. Lens steals eyes. He needs more space to put the eyes on.
Yeah. That's true. That's fun. You're like, I need more, like, space on my body.
Yeah.
Slaps Hood, you can fit so many eyes in this one.
You could fit so many eyes in this boy.
I feel like multiple eyes, isn't that something that comes up in your art too sometimes? Like more than just on Lance?
It's a very recent thing.
Okay.
Because every single thing I do comes from a thing that I hate about myself. Because I'm trying to get to a place of acceptance and I'm doing exposure therapy for myself. So I have a fucked up eye. And in my previous job, one of my colleagues thought it was super okay to mention that every once in a while. Just like, hey, Elvire, your eye's weird. Like, thank you. I know. And And that's sort of when Len started getting more eyes. And then I got obsessed with it. And now I'm super into eye horror. And I want to draw all my characters with fucked up eyes.
Okay, I didn't realize it actually came from like that.
It's pretty recent. I don't think I knew y'all when it started.
I feel like a lot of my characters have like little demon-y bits.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh.
And I don't fully know why, but like my like persona does, my current fellowship character does. I like to play tieflings. I like to accessorize characters with like fun like demon wings and tails and stuff, you know, like the thin tail with the little triangle on it if I'm trying to be cutesy about it. I don't know where that comes from exactly, other than like there's a lot of media with cartoon demons and stuff in it. Like I never had like that much of it's weird because then I'm also like, oh, like angels show up too. But I'm like not Christian.
Well, those aren't even Christian angels anyway.
Yeah, true. But they like, it's almost like sometimes the like anime version of Christianity shows up in my media. So I have like, instead of like actual symbology, I'm like, oh wow, this fucking crazy looking thing is an angel, and oh wow, everything came from. It's probably Evangelion's fault. Let's be real.
I'm sorry, I forgot that some people aren't raised Christian. I was like, yeah, of course you know. Everybody knows about the fucked up angels, right?
Mm-hmm.
No, it's not a general we know thing.
No.
So yeah, I was raised Christian, so I was like, yeah, but angels are fucked up. Obviously.
They are.
Not wanting to go down a tangent here, but now I'm thinking of Saint Youngmin.
Don't know what that is.
It's an anime.
Yeah.
I don't know it that well, but I know it exists.
It's
Jesus is in that.
Yeah, it's anime Jesus and Buddha and their friends.
Oh, I do know that one. I just didn't know the name. I never watched it.
Yeah.
But it looked like fun.
Yeah, so like I think it's like that, but also like a combination of like old Rubber Hose cartoons with like their silly little demons with pitchforks and stuff that just like it influenced a lot of my imagery of like what's a funny character that's also cute but maybe a little devilish. Oh, I can literally make them devilish. And also just like tieflings are cool, and there's like a whole like history of using, well, I mean, people have talked about it mostly with in regards of like D&D tieflings, where like people like to play those because they're like originally humans that were like kind of kicked out of like their places because they have demon-y features, and there's a lot of like queer and racial subtext there that I think is very interesting that I'm not qualified to talk about. But I'm just like, oh yeah, I'm gay. Of course I like tieflings. I like spooky, scary stuff.
Yeah, you do.
And we're almost to October.
I know. Very exciting stuff.
I'm gonna do a call out. It's not specifically for OCs, but like I don't actually like Halloween all that much.
Oh damn.
Because the dressing up part, oh, my favorite bit. Having to be constantly on my toes because everything online could be a death trap. And people are trying to scare me. Hate that. Do not live for jump scares. And Halloween, I feel like a lot of people are like, yeah, that's a free pass for jump scares.
Yeah,
No.
okay. Yeah, so similar to something you mentioned, growing up, my family did not do Halloween, so like I basically never got to dress up or anything, so it's like this magical thing that I never got to experience.
The child version of it is super fun.
So I am now a fan.
I like the specific. I like the mix of like cutesy stuff, but I also like horror movies, but not the jump scares online. Like I want to be prepared for that kind of thing.
You need a good build up.
Yeah.
I need a good build up. I love some horror, but I dislike most horror movies because I don't like jump scares. I'll never make a character that does super unexpected things. All my characters are see-through. You know exactly what they're going to do at any given time.
I have a lot of problems with the term elevated horror, but I know that a lot of movies that are labeled as that tend to have less jump scares in them. That's a whole other thing. That's like a media podcast conversation that I would actually like to have at some point, but that's I agree with you is pretty much what I'm saying, is that like I like creepy stuff, I like scary stuff. I don't like to be this close to shitting my pants because something jumped out at me.
True. Yeah. I don't want to do the washing after watching a movie, you know? Does anyone else have a theme to bring up? I think, because if no one else has, I'll just go again.
Yeah.
I sort of do what Spike does, that I make lonely characters, but I make them with the explicit purpose to give them a found family sort of vibe. And also, another thing that I didn't notice until I started not doing it, and I was like, at the beginning, when I made these lonely characters, I made them outsiders from society, but for like non-existent reasons within that society, for super dumb stuff that would be easily solvable, and I'm making like finger brackets as I say that. What I mean is, I didn't make tieflings that are obviously outcasts or cursed beings that got cast out of society and that people hate, because look at them. You can clearly see. I just made guys that people hated. I was like, I'm sorry people hate you, but I'm going to fix it somehow. And then only later was like, I'm going to give people reasons to hate these guys.
I think for me, it's to combine a couple or a few of these together. I think I really like the idea of like the edgelord with the heart of gold.
Yeah. Oh
yes,
my
absolutely.
God. Any piece of media that has one of those, I'm like, yes, instant fave.
Yes, absolutely.
Well, let me introduce you to like nearly the entire stable of my OCs.
I'm walking around. I've got the audio guide in my ear. I'm taking pictures. I'm taking selfies. I'm oohing and ahhing the entire time.
I like that, like, sometimes the characters pretend they don't have a heart of gold, though. I feel like that happens in your stuff. Not to call you... not to bring
no. Please, like... I think it's very funny when I get called out, so please just do the call out. Name specifics if you like.
I was like specifically thinking of how like Xenu thinks like she's still like so fucking edgy, and she's like, I don't care about anyone unless it's Gilly, and it's like, well, that's enough because Gilly's a very nice person and cares about a lot of people, so that's okay.
You need to go, if you can find it, and look at the text RP we did between Gilly and Xenu about kind of her own self-reflection. You would probably really like it, but basically it was her going to Gilly and be like, hey, like, I am a piece of shit, and these are all the reasons why, and like I am self-conscious about it. So maybe you should not trust me like you do, because I am not a good person.
This is what I'm saying. She's like, I'm not a good person, but it's like, okay, but you did save the world, buddy.
Oh no, this was before saving the world.
Sure. Yeah. It's just funny because I feel like she still feels that way sometimes.
Yeah, well, she was also kind of hung up on the fact that she was worried that she may be broke, Gilly, because she had taught Gilly how to be mean and manipulative of people.
I like to make characters that are like they pretend to be more happy-go-lucky than they are.
Mm-hmm.
Which like I feel like is very like, yeah, okay, duh, like Morg, you're probably putting on a face, but at the same time it feels notable sometimes because it's like I do it even if I'm not happy at the moment, like even if I am like deep in like depression, like sometimes I'll still want to play a character like that because I feel like it helps me like kind of get out of it a little bit, be like, oh, okay, I can be like this goofy asshole for like 2-3 hours or whatever, and then even if I don't have energy later, it'll be worth it to be like, oh, I played that. I mean, I guess I'm thinking tabletop again. I haven't written in a while,
but I get it. It's so valid to be like, oh, I don't want to get into this character because it'll make me sad, and also I want to get into this character because I want to express some feelings.
Right, and that's why sometimes I'll play, you know, like if I am playing more serious characters and stuff, like it's still nice to do that because then I can be like more self-reflective and stuff. But and that like a lot of yeah, I mean a lot of times I just end up playing myself like without intending to, and that also like will show up in characters of mine in stories. Like it happens way more in tabletop games, sure, but like the characters I talked about on here, like in some ways I'm like, oh, okay, like the person with like the shadowy venom person inside them, like Kata, like they're kind of like the more like hyperactive version of me, like the more like energetic, like pretending to be a shonen protagonist but not very good at it kind of section. And then like Tenacity, the like alien tiefling guy. Wow, another tiefling. Huh. Wow. Okay. Showed up and is like, oh, I'm gonna be like the snarky asshole that you liked to pretend that you were when you were like in high school, even though you weren't actually very good at being sarcastic, but you liked to do it anyway.
That is so valid.
You just listen. It's fun to play characters that you may have grown out of sometimes.
Yeah. I have a lot of characters that I'm like, oh, they're slightly evil. I'm so bad at being slightly evil. They always end up doing nice things. But I swear they're evil though. They do many bad things. They would do a murder, but also they'll feel a bit, I'll feel a bit bad about it. And then my OC feels a bit bad about it.
That was actually a genuine problem for me in like a tabletop game because I had an alternate version character. It's a whole fucking thing. I need to talk about that game on this because it's actually like extremely good. But there was an alternate universe version of my character who was evil and could play an evil instrument that no one else could. But I was always like this close to playing them as being neutral or even good. And my DM was like, you can't do that or we'll have to change your alignment. And I'm like, fuck, I hate this game. That's not why I don't play D&D now, but that is a big reason. I'm just like, it's so restrictive. I'm changing. I'm growing as a person. Let me grow as a person.
I've never used alignment in D&D. I ignored that.
No, so like I'm very much of the belief, like I don't like D&D. I don't want to play it, but I'm very much of the belief that alignment, that's the wrong way to use alignment. Alignment is a tool for the player to look at and say, okay, I don't know what to do. Here is something to be a guideline for me. Using it the opposite way, I think, is wrong.
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, that's why I like, motivations and stuff and like other games that use like, goals or whatever it's called. Agendas, yes, thank you. Because then it's like, oh, this is literally a guideline. And you can still ignore it. If you have an idea, that's cool.
Yeah. But if it's goals, you can have your goals grow when you reach it. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
It's more fun that way to me. Because I also, D&D is my least favorite RPG system. Because of a lot of reasons.
Yeah, I had a whole conversation about this recently because people are, a lot of people are playing Baldur's Gate now, so it's kind of back in the D&D's back in the conversation, and I think it's really cool that people are like, I want to play a tabletop game for the first time. It's going to be this one. Fine, great.
Yeah, I'm still into D&D campaigns because I simply love playing with friends.
And sometimes that's what friends want to run, if my like best friend is like, hey, I want to run a fucking game, I'm not going to be like, sorry, I won't fucking do it. I'm going to be like, okay, cool. I'm going to play fucking Bard or whatever. I'm going to play another charisma caster. I'm going to be a fucking paladin this time who's still a charisma caster.
I'm a fighter dwarf. How many dwarves have I played? Don't worry about it. Simply don't think about it.
Right. Like, I like to play like real short and real tall guys too. That's another call out. I like to play real short and real tall guys.
I play only the short guys. At a certain point, I had to be like, oh, you cannot make another dwarf just because you think it's the coolest fantasy race. You gotta move on. You gotta make something else. And then I made a tabaxi.
Nice.
You're like, I'm gonna make a furry this time.
I'll just be furry. Okay, if I can't be a short rock, I'll be a tall furry.
Yeah. I have a question for Morg. When you make custom characters in video games, do you set the sliders all the way to the end?
A lot of times, yeah. It's just fun. It's just funny to see.
Yes, it often is.
I'm like, yeah, dude. I want to play this real short motherfucker. I'm gonna be a gnome. Let's go. Or I'm gonna be like, I mean, Trouble is huge. Like, they're not huge, but they're not huge in the sense of, like, being huge tabletop character-wise, but they're big. They're big ogre for a reason. Because I like playing big. I've played, like, 2 or 3 gnomes. I like to play real short guys. I played orcs, there was a short, like, 2... It was supposed to be, like, a one-shot, ended up being, like, 2 sessions of, like, where I was a bugbear. Like, I was a big old bugbear. Like...
I am so proud of Treble for punching someone so hard their soul popped out.
No, Arla did that.
Oh, yeah, shit.
Trouble has punched someone's soul so hard that it cracked, kind of.
No,
oh my god.
No, yeah. Also, that was yesterday even. But Treble did, like that was the immediate follow-up to Treble punching. Although Treble did punch them so hard that they became tangible.
Yes. They used their shadow powers to make a light being tangible and punched them because they deserved it.
Yes.
This is a real thing that happened.
Sorry, like it all got mixed up in my brain, so apologies to everyone.
A lot of punching happened.
Uh-huh.
I want to talk about trouble so bad on this stupid podcast. This podcast isn't stupid.
Let's do it soon.
Yeah, let's simply pencil it in our super strict schedule.
But we have to, like, talk about the other campaign fully first. We have to bring...
No, we don't.
Do we not?
No, we don't.
We have no rules. The only rule is that we should have fun with it.
Yes.
I want to talk about trouble. I love them.
Uh-huh.
Banui.
Oh, this is maybe a fun question to ask because you said them. Do you guys have a specific gender that you tend to choose for your characters?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
You want to elaborate, Spike?
Yeah. Well, if it's not obvious already, almost all my characters are women.
Mm-hmm. Tabletop characters-wise, I will almost always default to the character being non-binary in some capacity. I've played non-binary characters that just use they-them pronouns. I've used they-he pronouns. I've used, less recently, but I played a non-binary orc woman who used they-she pronouns. I'd like to make more women tabletop characters, but it was kind of a hurdle for me. As someone who has had that whole people thinking I'm a woman thing going on.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, understandable.
Characters that I've designed in stories, it was a lot of, when I was, like, first starting out, like, middle school-ish, maybe a little, it was a lot of, like, tomboy girls and like overly emotional boys, I guess. And looking back, I'm like, okay, yeah. Part of it, is the whole non-binary thing, sure, but a lot of it is that when I was growing up, a lot of my favorite characters were boys because in a lot of like cartoons, there was like one girl character and they were like, okay.
Oh, shit.
Their character trait is girl.
Character trait is girl. And then I watched Avatar The Last Airbender and I was like, oh, there's more than just girl. There's Toph and Katara who rock. This is also where I was introduced to character who is a bad guy, but actually has a heart of gold and is good and is redeemed and shit.
We all love Zuko, yeah. I was so normal about Zuko growing up. I didn't have a weird obsession with him at all. No.
So, like, after, like, seeing more, I would start making more, like, women characters, but I still felt a little weird about it. And then I was like, oh, it's because I see myself in these characters, and I'm conflicted about gender stuff. I understand now. I'm actually having an easier time now running, like, the Eidolon game that I've brought up, I think, before on this, that, Spike is playing Dorothy in, where, like, I have, like, men and women characters, and they're just kind of, that's just, like, a fact about them. That's not, like, a lot of times it doesn't mean a lot, but, like, it will. Like, sometimes it contributes a lot to, like, who they are because of who they perceive themselves as. Like, it's really important for one of my characters, Laurel, to be like, I'm a butch lesbian. Like, I'm a woman, or at least woman adjacent enough to be like, I'm a lesbian, that whole conversation. I don't want to get into that, but like, and she's like, this is me. And then like, characters, like, I was like, oh yes, I want to make the surprise sibling that Dorothy has a boy for a couple different reasons. That was like kind of on purpose, but also kind of just came up because I was like, well, Dorothy's whole Eidolon situation is named after David Bowie, and there's Major Tom, and so I was like, well, Tom, I could make Tom non-binary, but I was like, no, I'm just gonna make him a guy. He's just a guy.
To fill in the audience, Dorothy or Dory, her Eidolon is named Hunky.
Yeah.
This is the album that Changes is on.
Yes.
Which relates to what her Eidolon power is.
Yeah. Which will be a whole nother episode. Hopefully.
Oh boy.
Someday.
One day.
So much gaming to be done, so little time.
Yeah.
And that's why I haven't written, because I'm gaming too much. I don't have time to write. That's why I have made zero progress on the polyamorous road trip that I talked about when I was like, what if I wrote more of this? No, I've made zero progress, audience. I'm so sorry to disappoint everyone.
Yeah, I was gonna meet up with a friend every Tuesday and talk about what we've written, and we've not done that a single Tuesday this entire holiday. That's how it is. I think I have a pretty similar experience as you had, Morg, in terms of gender for my characters. When I started playing D&D, I made a lot of female characters, and I always ended up being like, I don't want to play this character anymore, and I couldn't figure out why. Even now, I never make humanoid women. If I play a female character, it's always like a monster, or like in Mouse Guard, I played a female character. Like it can't be human, because then I'll look at it and be like, no, I don't want to be that. I don't want to pretend to be that. But I'm fine with it if it's like a mouse or a werewolf that is permanently transformed, apparently. And other than that, I make more non-binary ones than guys.
Yeah, I'm kind of at that level too. I definitely, especially if I'm like in a group where I'm like, I don't know how easily it will be for these people to switch back and forth between pronouns. I'm very likely to be like, I use they, them, so does my character. It's just easier that way.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I had a lot of campaigns that would started before I came out. So it's more like I started, and then at some point I was like, you know how you call my character they, them? And then you accidentally called them she. Yeah, that made me super sad. And also, could you stop calling me she for a bit?
Mm-hmm.
You'll be surprised to know, listener, that that's never been a problem. People tend to be super nice about it. In my entire gaming career, I've only had one time that I was like, this is making me super uncomfortable. I will remove myself from the situation. And other than that, never has anyone been like, no, why would we do that?
No, so I also, Dorothy, I accidentally misgendered a character and then turned it into a character trait for Dorothy.
Yeah, we made sure that it was okay first with the player. That was like, hey, is this like...
Yeah, that's something you should communicate about.
Yeah, no, where like she was not intentionally misgendering, she just got it wrong.
She's just like, I don't know, this dude sucks at being a human anyway, so... like, I don't know, and it's like, oof, Dorothy, your ideas of gender is very interesting. And your ideas of humanhood, I guess, is also very interesting. It's like...
Yeah, she might not be bad, she might not be good at those things herself.
So... fucking valid. She's had quite a past.
I love that we can just make super self-indulgent, silly characters I feel like at a certain point, I'm an avid fan fiction reader. You know this about me. I read so many fanfics. I remember when I started reading fanfic that there was a lot of like, my character is not a Mary Sue, or I don't read that fanfic because the main character has been like, it's too powerful and the self-insert sucks. And now that I am older and wiser, I am here to say to all those people who made those very cute Mary Sues, you were correct. You had galaxy brain. You were years ahead of me.
That was something when I was like 13, posted my first like fanfic. It was like a Pokemon fanfic. I made a character. She was like, you know, sort of a Mary Sue, I guess. Like, she was just kind of a Pokemon trainer insert person. And someone was like, oh, you know, someone like sent a review that was like, yeah, this girl is close to being Mary Sue. And I was like, what the fuck is that? Like, I mean, I didn't swear when I was 13, so what's that? I don't know.
Do y'all think we've come around in society and have become more accepting of the Mary Sue-esque characters?
I don't think so, but I think I've surrounded myself with people who are cooler about it.
Yeah, so I have an argument for this.
Okay.
Based on currently happening things. We do have the currently ongoing, I believe, hit Disney Plus series, Ahsoka, which is just a dude's Mary Sue OC that they put in Star Wars.
I can only assume that it's the best Star Wars series.
Oh, Ahsoka is probably my favorite Star Wars character.
Yeah.
I remember Ahsoka from one of the animated shows. Wasn't she like Anakin's apprentice or something?
Yes. Darth Vader's young apprentice that no one ever knew about, but she's so cool, and she survived the Jedi Purge, and she's the best Jedi ever, and she wins every fight, and so on and so forth.
I'm so proud of her.
Yeah, it's like, yeah, the thing is, she's just that fun, though.
There's a way of doing it fun, and I think I think a lot of times people will, like, read a fic or whatever and be like, I have other problems with this story, but the easiest target is that this character is overpowered, and I don't want this kid to have any fun, so I'm gonna fucking call their shit out. And it's like, well, there's other ways of fostering that, and a lot of times it's not fun for other reasons having to do with their writing that they need to improve on by practicing, which is very normal because these are children writing stories.
Yes.
I think, you know, it's one thing to send constructive criticism and be like, oh, there's like these things about the story I like, and like, oh, you could even be like, hey, I'm not a huge fan of this, like, really overpowered character, but, like, if you want to keep them, here's ways of doing it. Obviously, that's more something if people, like, ask for help. There's a lot of strange etiquette around, like, specifically fanfic that makes
I often think
weird,
about...
but...
No, go ahead.
I was just saying, like, if I'm showing someone a story... just like a regular story, not like fanfic or anything, just like a story, and I'm like, what do you think of these characters? I want their opinions, but I'm also like an adult asking for opinions on these characters that I'm hoping are interesting to read.
I often think about that Tumblr post that was like, do you take constructive criticism? Yeah. It sucks. It's no criticism, bro.
Yeah, I do. It sucks.
It sucks. Okay. Because I feel like, if people put things online, and you can write a review, that's super valid. But also, writing a review is not the same as saying, I hate you and everything you do, and all your characters suck, and this is the worst 10 minutes of my life. Just click on that little cross and don't. But yeah, give constructive criticism. Be like, I didn't like it because of this. That's already way better. I think there's also a difference between posting a story online and being like, yeah, give me feedback, and sharing an original character or an original ID and being like, this is my cool thing, look at it.
Yeah, there is a big difference there. Like, if you're asking for feedback or you're not. And a lot of times people are just like post. And, you know, I have my problems with that because it's like, you know, some people like, it's like, oh, I want to see this person become a better writer. But if it gets a little weird if it's like, oh, this person is just posting like porn about characters they like you're probably not going to give them critiques on that unless they're like,
I am
hey,
so tempted to look at the reviews of like rated E fanfics now to see what the people are saying.
I think a lot of times people are just like, this is hot. Like, it's like probably a review of like, on, you know, like if someone posted a review on like a Pornhub video, they're just like, damn, she hot. Damn, Nikki, your bobbies. Like, I don't know.
You know what? That makes so much sense. I just didn't know what I would write on such a thing.
I don't either. I don't really post on those, even if I'm reading. Which I'm not going to pretend I haven't, you know? But, like, I'm just like, I don't know. Cool, I guess.
Good story. I think you could work on the plot a little.
I'm reading this for the plot. Sometimes I have read e-stories for the plot, though. I'm like, this is actually really good, and I don't really care that there's sex scenes in it. It's like, whatever.
I love it when they make that shit skippable. It's like it's like an option. Do I feel like reading the smut today, or can I skip it?
Okay. I think we're like starting to get into like talking about abuse and fanfic and stuff.
Yeah, we're getting off topic. This one's on me.
Yeah.
Also, it's totally 11. Cool. Is there something?
I just don't want to keep you up.
Yeah, is there something someone's like, yeah, I really need to mention this episode, or shall we bring it to a close?
I'm good.
I'm sure there's stuff I left out. I'm sure there's stuff I'm going to post about in the Discord when this goes up. And I'm going to be like, I forgot to talk about all this stuff that I do. And I forgot to talk about how if I read my, like, if I squint my eyes and I read my NaNoWriMo from, like, a decade ago, I can see these fucking gay characters in them or whatever.
Yeah.
I did threaten... Like, when we were coming up with ideas for this episode, I did threaten, like, hey, what if I just talked about my NaNoWriMo from, like, sophomore year of high school? I guess listeners write it, and if you want to hear me talk about that, I'm not opposed to it. I'm going to be slightly embarrassed about it, but I will talk about it if people are interested.
I'm super curious about it. Every time I started it, I ended up like stopping after day 2.
Absolutely fair. I don't do it anymore for a variety of reasons, mostly related to mental health.
Yeah, that does a thing to a person, huh?
But yeah. Unless Spike has anything, I think I'm good.
Yeah, I think we're all good then. This is a noise-based podcast. Which you can find on
.xyz.
On XYZ. Yeah. There's loads of cool noise-based podcasts, and you should be listening to all of them, but I think that's physically impossible. So pick one that you like and listen to that one.
So true.
I'm gonna let Morg do the social media since they set that up.
You can find this podcast on our co-host and Tumblr at check out this guy, all one word, checkoutThisGuy.tumblr.com. I think it might be cohost.org/checkoutThisGuy. And I also do post about it on like other sites. I just, don't use Twitter, but I have posted about it on there like once. I have posted about it on Blue Sky. But, and then, yeah, you can also find our Discord, which is linked in those, as well as on this podcast episode, I believe. I think Emery linked, or I think you guys linked the whatever.
Emery does the posting. I'm not qualified for that.
It's all good. And yeah, actually, you want to join our Discord because that's where you can find Spike. That's the only place you can find Spike. So
they won't let me out. Please release me.
No, you gotta be contained within the Discord. You're our only selling point.
Oh, well, I don't believe the latter part of that, but yeah, containing me within the Discord might be good for the world.
You're contained within that server. But also what's contained is we stream on both Mondays and Fridays. Mondays is at the moment is Toku Mondays.
Yeah, by the time this comes out, it's either about to or already has switched over to being Digi Mondays again.
Ooh.
Right.
Which I think is going to be
Save?
Digimon Savers.
Yeah.
And Fridays, Emery does a drawing stream.
Sometimes we do other stuff, like we streamed fucking the newest Transformers movie on Thursday.
Really?
And I would not have survived without the support of my friend.
I wish I was awake for that.
Yeah, but like we were talking, we might be doing more bad movies in the future.
Yeah, it's tough because it's like, it has to be when people are out of work, and like a lot of the people streaming are unfortunately in the US, so it becomes...
Yeah.
We'll find something for the Euros.
If you're in Europe, the best you can get is chatting with me during those European hours. That's it, because I have nothing to stream.
Maybe I will... I don't know. On a weekend, I could probably be like streaming stuff for European people, but anyway,
we'll see.
I already kind of did your plug. Sorry, Spike.
No, it's good. You're just making my job easy.
So I guess I will go with my own plugs. You can find me on Tumblr and Blue Sky at Haunting the Morg. You can find me at co-host at Gengar. You can find me on my other podcasts. I'm gonna maybe stop plugging Forward ReZero, but it is there and it is good. The episodes that are out about ReZero, and then the Sonic Shuffle, a random and holistic Sonic lore podcast. There's a lot of episodes of that, so that's one of the noise-based podcasts you could listen to. Hey!
Yay!
They're good podcasts.
Thanks. I don't know how to take a compliment. Yeah, Elvira, where can we find you?
You can find me on Tumblr, matchfromcoughton.tumblr.com. That's where I'm most active right now. I will make something to oversee all my other social media. Don't look for me on Twitter anymore. I've given up.
Yeah.
It doesn't exist anyway.
Like, you could find me at Haunting the Morg, but that's just to find my other links to other places.
It's so tragic that social media just stopped existing. So weird.
Yeah.
Anyway, do we have a closing yet?
Dude, I don't know. I haven't been on the last two episodes, so
I wasn't on the last one.
Spike,
Spike, what have you got?
Did we come up with anything?
We're
gonna be 20 episodes in and be like coming up with something on the spot still. It's fine.
Yeah, just something related to the episode. Be self-indulgent about your OCs.
Yes. Absolutely. Do that thing and let us know about your self-indulgency.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's the podcast for this week.
Yeah.
Let us know about your self-indulgence, guys.
Yeah.
Goodbye.
Bye.
Bye.